Hey, it's a great day in Reno, Nevada. This is a wonderful spring morning. This is Lake Street. This road here is 4th Street, called the Old Lincoln Highway, 1913. Headed up north, we have a bunch of old mom and pop motels. Over here, that's our National Bowling Stadium. And this guy over here, this is our new Reno main bus stop, RTC 4th Street Station. Opened in 2020. Let's cross over 4th Street and we'll head down Lake, check out some old stuff. Up on top of the pole, that's our landmark flying bus. 2.5 acres, 95% paid for by federal dollars. Used to be a series of railroad tracks servicing the freight house and the old American Railway Express office. Here's our 1930s view looking north from the Truckee River. In the center is Virginia Street, and we're standing on the top right corner at 4th and Lake Street. Here's another view. During the 1948 Lake Street fire, we had the Virginia and Truckee Railway at the new bus station, and our railroad tracks, the Railway Express office, future site of New China, Reno. On the left is the 1926 Railway Depot. The large building is a conglomerate of hotels and casinos. We've got our Basque Santa Fe Hotel. On the right, blocked by the smoke, that's the Columbia Hotel, Toscana Hotel, Hotel Lido, and the Pincolini Mitzvah Hotel. And at the corner of 2nd Street, that's the old Burlington Bus Depot. So as we walk down Lake, you'll need to use your imagination because most of the stuff isn't here anymore. Over here on the right, this is the back of the Reno National Bowling Stadium. Opened in 1995, 363,000 square feet, 78 lanes, nicknamed the Taj Mahal of 10 pins. On the front facade of the building, that's our recognizable 80-foot aluminum geodesic dome, built to resemble a bowling ball. It's a filming location of the 1996 movie Kingpin, starring Bill Murray and Woody Harrelson, and the 1994 movie Greedy, starring Michael J. Fox and Kirk Douglas. At the end of the bus depot, along Plaza Street here, in the 1960s, this was a roulette motel. Little mom and pop, Yugi-style roofline, little red balloon bubbles, kind of a mid-century facade. It's a pretty standard motel. Torn down late 2000s to make room for the bus depot. Next up here, this is our Retract Trench project, constructed from 2003 to 2005, leading up to the railway depot. The original tracks in Reno, they were laid down in 1868. So for over 130 years, all the traffic along Commercial Row has held up waiting for the long super freight lines and passenger trains. Sometimes you'd be waiting like 15-20 minutes just to cross over Virginia Street. Here's our 1940s view looking east along Commercial Row. From the McKissick Hotel, we have the Reno Arch on Virginia Street and Center Street and the train depot. And at the end, that's where we're standing right now. Let's take a look at our bridge here. It's called the Retract. Lots of homeless guys used to live along the tracks here and along the east side of town. And during construction, the city had to route a bypass around the back of the men's club, tore up a lot of old buildings out there, and meandered through the future site of the Aces Greater Nevada Ball Field. This next building here, this is our Reno Men's Club. It's rated #1 gentleman's club in Reno. Here's what it looked like back in 2002 with the above ground tracks, right around Christmas time with reindeer on the roof. The freight building is in the back along Peavine Street. Out on the right, that's our ghetto district. The apartment structure out there, that's about the location of the cribs of the old Stockade building, Reno's legalized prostitution center, owned by the mobsters operating out of the bank club on Center. And today, it's a Greater Nevada field. Back in the old days, our men's club here, it was originally called the American Railway Express office, handled large capacity parcel shipping for the railroad from 1926 to 1975. Later in 1983, it became the popular Paul Kennedy's Steakhouse. Rufus here, the Remy dog, that was the restaurant's mascot, with the slogan, "Select steak of your choice, cut to the thickness you like." Also served trout and prawns. In 2005, this became our popular men's club, cabaret and restaurant. Anyway, great place to celebrate Super Bowl each year. Across the street on the right, this is our original 1926 railway depot. It started out as a simple wood frame structure in 1868 and quickly replaced with the first depot hotel. That was destroyed in the Great Fire of 1879, then replaced with a new improved depot hotel, larger, more grand, 3-story behemoth, 47 rooms, bar and offices. Had the best rooms and restaurant in early Reno. And sadly, it burned down in 1889, then replaced with a simple 1-story red brick hip roof depot until 1926, when it was replaced with the depot we have today. Mediterranean semicircular arch openings up front, stucco exterior, garden-like motifs set within the recessed panels. Today it's our Amtrak station with the Zephyr Express. It runs from Chicago to San Francisco along the scenic Rocky Mountains, Sierra Nevada, and Great Plains. On the south side of Commercial Row, today this is our Harrah's parking structure. We used to have a lot of stuff here. We had the 1931 Al Club, we received the very first gambling license in town, including roulette and a few other games. Had a beautiful rustic wood and marble bar and cafe. The Dormio Hotel, Quick Loans, liquor store, Niners Tavern, and at the end was the famous Overland Hotel. You cross Center Street, that's the popular Palace Club. And later in the 1950s, we added the Menlo Hotel next to the Dormio. And at the east end was the popular Cosmo Club, opened in 1956. And on the corner was a small dive bar called Bill's Corner Bar. Finally, we had the new Club China, and that was at the end of the block across Lake Street. Anyway, that's all gone today. And this whole section of Reno, out here, that was pretty much the outskirts of town, home to our segregated populations of blacks and Chinese, sort of like a ghetto of old Reno in the northern tip of Chinatown. Since blacks weren't allowed to gamble, or stay in the white hotels, or even eat in the restaurants in town, they had to set up their own entertainment venues out here. This street here is Douglas Alley. On the corner was New China Reno, and behind that was Club Harlem. So Douglas Alley was the epitome of debauchery in old Reno. Prostitutes, drugs, drunks, crime, even a few murders. Known as the busiest little street in the biggest little city. Kind of safe during the day, but not really a place to wander at night. Called Bottle Alley because of all the drunks. Pretty much served as a back door to the illegal gambling and the speakeasies during the Prohibition. Pretty rough place to meander through the heydays of old Reno. At the end of Douglas on the north side was a black establishment called the Dixie Club, owned by Lou LeCoux and John Smith in 1932. Older brick building with the front along the tracks and the back door off Douglas offered home-cooked meals, including Southern fried chicken and Creole gumbo. Featured performers like Frank Martin and his Rhythm Rockets, Miss Mabel Hunter, the Queen of the Rumba. We also had the Black and Tan Club, as 1943 became licensed for poker, 21, slots, and craps. Across from the Roadway Express building on Douglas, extending all the way out to Peavine Street, this was originally the Peavine Club owned by Bill Bailey. He is a cousin of blues artist Pearl Bailey. Then it became Club Harlem in 1948. This is one of our most popular black clubs. After finishing the gigs in town, it was pretty common for performers like Pearl Bailey, Sammy Davis Jr., Louis Armstrong, and B.B. King to stop and play a few sets for the local crowd. In 1951, we had Jack McVeigh, Punjab Hairston, and Bounce Little Ada. And here's Little Ada here performing That Ain't Right with Fats Waller. Here's our 50-cent chip from the club. On the reverse side are the initials NB, that stands for Norval and Bailey, owners of the club. In 1968, Club Harlem became known as the Soul Club, and that operated until 1977, until it was closed down. And right on the corner here, this was originally the Pyramid Club, then the Palm Saloon, and finally the new Club China in 1952, opened by Chinese businessman Bill Fong to cater to the blacks and other minorities banned from the casinos in town. It's almost the only place where black servicemen could come from the Stead Air Force Base to gamble, instead of being bussed out to Sacramento too. The club expanded in 1956, then again in 1957, bringing it to a total of 4,000 square feet of gaming space. It is the only casino in Reno with 2 Keno games operating at the same time. Here's a new China Club $5 poker chip from 1965. Anyway, the new Club China lasted until 1973, until it was raised and the lot was leased out to Harrah's. Next to the new Club China, this is our new ballpark apartments. It used to be a whole row of old hotels and small casinos. First on the left, this is a Colombo Hotel, 3-story, stucco structure. At the ground level was the Basin Street Cafe, as named after the cafe in Basin Street Station in New Orleans. Then we had the Mint Club on the ground floor in 1958 to 1960, and then finally just called the China Mint. Here we have a $25 chip from the Mint Club. Next door was the Toscana Hotel, long, narrow, 3-story brick building. Ghost signs advertising for the Overland Hotel Casino. The Baringo Wines. Baringo had their headquarters up at the old Depot building on 4th Street in the Brewery District. And on the first floor was a Roaring 20s topless bar. Next we had a little parking lot, And then we had the Lido Hotel, squared off, large arch windows, fancy parapet design on the roof. And that was along with the Three Deuces Adult Club. Across lake again on the west side, over here's the railway depot. This is our old commercial row building. Bill's Corner, that's on the end on the right. And on the left was the Granada Lunch and Steaks. This lovely two-story brick building, that's our old Santa Fe Hotel, our only holdout in the whole Harrah's expansion. Built in 1913 by A.J. Clark, the Basque restaurant on the ground floor and 20 suites on the second floor. Friendly place for our Basque sheepholders to rest when they came in from the fields. I think it's all closed up today. To the left was a series of establishments in what was the Van Buren building. Tony's Spaghetti Shop, War Relief Office, Farm Labor Office, Reno Wallet Shop, Slot Machine Rental, Dale Thompson's Print Shop. On the left of that was a Mandarin restaurant, cafe and chop suey. Anyway, August 5th, 1948, a giant fire broke out at Tony's Spaghetti Shop and ended up killing 6 people and destroying most of the buildings here. Santa Fe was damaged but reopened in 1949, operated for another 70 years, then closed down in 2020, victim of COVID, then reopened as simply The Fe in 2023. Little sports bar, pool table, American hamburgers, tasty French cuisine. I think it's all closed up today though. Tony's Spaghetti Shop was rebuilt and opened as Harrah's Hash House A Go-Go. Traditional large portion hash-like breakfast dishes on the go. Anyway, closed down in 2020. Now it's all part of the new Reno City Center. At the end of the block on the left here, this is the old Pincolini building, erected in 1922 in the heart of Reno's Little Italy. You've got a 3-story brick building, hotel rooms on the upper levels, mini casinos and retail on the ground level. This was considered to be one of the finest hotels in all of Nevada at the time. It also operated as a mitzvah hotel. Anyway, it burned down in 2006 when one of the residents boarded up her room, set a mattress on fire. 12 people were killed, becoming the deadliest fire in Reno's history. You can check out the historic marker placed on the ballpark apartments today. And finally, our last location on the northwest corner of Lake and 2nd, at the giant tower. This is the old Burlington bus line terminal. Later became a Greyhound. This is the only public location where blacks were allowed to dine. Anyway, started out as smaller, then expanded up to the Hash House after the 1948 fire, and finally relocated permanently to the new 4th Street RTC station. That's the guy with the big flying bus up the street. So that brings us down to 2nd Street right here. This used to be like no man's land, the end of the road, until the Lake Street Bridge was built out there in 1937. And out here in the 1870s, this whole section was our little Chinatown. Complete the village of brothels, prostitutes, opium dens, drunks, drugs, crime, called Lover's Lane, right there at that mural, right there. And then later the Chinese were forced out to move way out here to a new district. And here we have a view looking west down 2nd Street here, 1948. The old Hotel Wynn on the left, the IOF building behind it, and to the right is the bus terminal where we're standing right now. And there you go. Nothing here anymore but our abandoned Harrah's and this place called the Ballpark Apartments just popped up. We're gonna head down this way to Lake Street Bridge so we find some neat stuff. Got a dispensary here too. Oh my goodness. Holy moly. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day.